Martin Smith posed this question when he wrote, "Whatever happened to a promise these days?" It said that people with good intentions make promises, but it's people with good character who actually keep them. Welcome to this week's Hope from the Hills. The Bible says this: "Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful." That's Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 23. Much of our talk about currency is shaped and defined around the physical notes and coins that we use in our daily transactions. And yet the concept of currency in the modern world can equally refer to the value we attach to the promises we make. Promises are an integral part to human interactions. They underpin relationships, business dealings, and even societal structures. However, the value of a promise in the modern world is often contingent on various and variable factors, contrasted, compared, and frequently measured with the unchanging, reliable promises that we attribute to the divine. Within the realm of human affairs, promises are powerful instruments and building blocks of both trust and mutual cooperation. From business contracts to personal commitments, promises facilitate the functioning of the society around us. The value of a promise in this context is a fluctuating commodity based on the integrity and credibility of the parties involved. In economic terms, a promise to pay a certain amount of money only holds value as long as the individuals or the institutions behind those promises are deemed to be reliable. And this perception of reliability is subject to change due to changing circumstances, intentions, or indeed external pressures. At the heart of this world, technology and communication play pivotal roles in shaping the validity and the perception of promises in this emerging world. Online interactions, for example, have led to the rise of virtual currencies and digital transactions. The value of these transactions relies heavily on promise of security and authenticity, and yet the evolving nature of technology also births new levels of risk, where hacking and data breaches can all too rapidly erode the value of promises made in the digital world. If we are faithless, he, that's God, is faithful, for he cannot deny himself. That's a promise from 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 13. In contrast to these then are the unchanging promises of God that are often seen as immutable and eternal. These promises are not influenced by human factors or indeed the passage of time. The idea of God's covenant with humanity rests on the assurance of salvation and divine protection, regardless of the evolving circumstances of the world around us. These then are the promises which are believed to transcend the limitations and unpredictability of both human behaviour and societal trends. The steadfastness of God's promises stand in contrast to our tendency to renege on our own promises and falter. The currency of a human promise can be affected by factors such as self-interest, unforeseen challenges, or shifting priorities, while the promises made by God are typically depicted as unwavering, solid, and wholly reliable. This contrast again underscores the value of the stability and consistency attributed to the promises of God. Moreover, the value of a human promise often hinges on an individual's ability to actually fulfill them. In a world where circumstances can all too rapidly change, commitments made with the best of intentions can become impractical or even impossible for some to honour. Financial crisis, natural disasters and personal upheavals can all impact the feasibility of a person keeping promises. On the other hand, the unchanging nature of God's promises provide those who choose to believe with a sense of security and hope, even in the face of difficulties, setbacks or adversity. But what remains constant is the belief in a God that transcends human limitations and offers assurances that are unaffected by the temporal challenges of the world we live in. The psalmist in Psalm 93 verse 2 says this: "Your throne," that's God's throne, "is established from old. You are from everlasting." The solidified promise of a firm foundation of the God that we can serve. The currency and value of a promise in the modern world will always be subject to fluctuation based on various human factors and external influences. Trust, credibility and reliability play significant roles in determining the worth of promises made within our interactions as humans. And this stands in complete contrast to the unchanging promises attributed to the God who from age to age has stated that he changes not, whose promised currency is seen as unalterable and eternal, providing a sense of stability and hope that transcends the uncertainties of our individual and corporate worlds. As the landscape of the world and this age continues to evolve, the dynamics of promises and their values will inevitably continue to shift, while the solidity of unchanging divine promises remains a steadfast source of comfort and assurance, and indeed hope, for those who choose to believe. I'll see you next time.